Today we're going to do something a little different. Instead of exposing somebody on YouTube... Hang on a second. Much better. Anyways, as I was saying, today we're not going to expose somebody that's on YouTube. No, instead we're going to expose somebody that was on my Facebook friends list. And trust me, I'll explain the was part later, because what ended up going down between me and this individual over Facebook was downright hilarious. Now, what's interesting about this particular person, whom from this point on I'll be referring to as the short bus rider, is this is a person I've actually known since childhood. That's right, people. I have owned and am downright exposing somebody that I grew up with. While I have mentioned it in past videos, I want this to go on record here and now. It doesn't matter to me what kind of relationship you have with me, how long I've known you, if I'm a fan of yours, or any other history I have with you, positive or negative. I do not discriminate. If you say or do something stupid, I will call you out on it. And from there, you have 4 options. Option number 1, admit you are wrong like a grown-ass man or woman and move on. Unless, of course, you just so happen to be a child, in which case I might be inclined to inform your parents that you need to have internet restrictions. Option number 2, stay completely silent, which to me is basically a cowardly version of option number 1. Option number 3, try to present an appropriate counter-argument, which you'll more than likely end up losing and refer to option number 1 anyway, seeing as how I use facts that can't be argued against to make my points 90% of the time. Or you can take the 4th option, which is the same option that Short Bus Rider chose. Go into a complete and total meltdown of idiocy and expose yourself so that somebody like me can document it and show it for everybody else to see and laugh at. What's interesting is that for some strange reason, this is the option most people I've called out over the internet have taken. Hell, even somebody with a great mind like the Blackbuster Critic has done it. I don't know, maybe using irrefutable facts to make my arguments causes some sort of catastrophic short circuit in people's brains that makes it so they don't know what to do, yet they feel they need to do something, so they end up doing stupid shit to make it so they have some kind of ground to stand on, when in reality all they're doing is proving me right. So what caused this divide between 2 childhood former friends? What subject caused me to intellectually destroy and expose somebody I grew up with? None other than everybody's favorite entertainment medium to mock, professional wrestling. I've been a fan of pro wrestling for as long as I can remember. I am what you'd call a smark, which is a combination of the 2 words smart mark. The term mark refers to wrestling fans that just take the entertainment at face value and nothing else. Smarks, on the other hand, are not only entertained by the spectacle of the wrestling shows themselves, but we have an interest in what goes on behind the scenes, including the actual business end of things. We try to predict what the best outcomes would be for matches from a business standpoint and are critical of the business decisions, outcomes, and performances of the wrestlers. Now, do I consider professional wrestling to be a legitimate sport? Absolutely not. There is no actual competition here. The outcomes of the matches are predetermined. Therefore, pro wrestling is an art form. Don't get me wrong, the majority of wrestlers are very much athletes, as they kind of have to be to do this kind of high energy, high impact activity. So it is an athletic art form, but it's still an art form nonetheless. Now, while I'm a big fan of the wrestling business, there are some people out there that take it way too seriously. And I and many others look down upon these types of people for basically making us look bad.
Next question, Jeff. Where are you? Right there.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, those people are a joke. Yes, I do also know that what goes on in the ring is choreographed. At least as much as it can be anyways. There are moments where the punches are real. In fact, there's even a term for that which is called stiffing. While the wrestlers are trained on how to land properly to minimize some of the damage that's inflicted on them, there's still damage being inflicted. So in essence, the wrestling part of it is actually more real than most people give it credit for. But then we have people like Short Bus Rider, who continue to cling on to the long, tired, irrelevant trope of wrestling is fake in an effort to try to demean the performance art of pro wrestling and its fans simply because of its predetermined and choreographed nature, completely ignoring that many other performance arts such as movies and stage shows are arguably even more staged than wrestling is. Not to mention that with this particular retard, he had a habit of being a dick to most people on Facebook, going around purposefully offending other people just so they could block him. I don't have any visual evidence of this, so you'll just have to take my word for it. However, as far as the back and forth pissing match he and I had, I have screen caps for all of it. And as it would turn out, I made the right decision to gather all this visual evidence. Anyways, I think I've built this thing up long enough, so let's start from the beginning. So while I'm on break at work, I just decided to make a status update regarding my dissatisfaction regarding the build-up to the Undertaker-Bray Wyatt match for the previous WrestleMania that took place a month or so ago. And yes, you can clearly see my real name posted on there for everybody to see, and I don't give a shit. Anyways, what I wrote. Really, WWE? You're really going to do this? You're really not going to have Taker show up until Mania for the match with Bray Wyatt? No promo or nothing? Jesus Christ, only modern WWE can take something that would be easy money, like an Undertaker-Bray Wyatt feud, and botch it to the point where very few give a shit about it. See how the Post was very much aware of the pre-planned, story-driven, and even business-like nature of pro wrestling? Yet here comes Short Bus Rider, whose real name I'm going to block out to protect his privacy, and like the oblivious dipshit failed troll that he is, not only comes at me with the tired and long-rendered irrelevant trope of calling wrestling fake, but also tries to indirectly insult me because he knows I'm in my 30s with this gem of a reply. People in their 30s still watch this fake stuff? It's just a soap opera targeted at men. So he pretty much flat out admits that it's a storytelling art form, yet attempts to bash it for that reason? And then there's the fake remark. Because, you know, when I go to a wrestling event, I'm obviously seeing highly detailed animatronics or computer-generated beings slamming each other on the canvas instead of real people, right? So I decided to, at this point, obliterate his retarded preconceived notions, at this point in a somewhat civil manner. First, I address his knock at me for being in my 30s and watching wrestling by saying, number one, I've known people in their 60s that watch it. Which is true. In fact, my step-grandfather watched it when he was still in his 80s. My overall point with that is that wrestling is watched by people of many different age ranges. Then I attack his fake remark 7 different ways. Number 2, the wrestling is fake argument is played out. Get some new material. Which is also true. In fact, I take it a step further with my next points by not only showing it's played out and tired, but also having long been made irrelevant. Number 3, fake is not even the correct terminology. Predetermined? Yes. Choreographed? To a point, yes. Fake? Nope. Fake implies they aren't really getting slammed, hit, or cut at all. If that was the case, tell me how legit injuries still happen. Tell me why pro wrestlers have a tendency to develop an addiction to painkillers just so they can do their job. Tell me how severe wear and tear still happens to their bodies. Until you can logically explain all that while claiming it's all fake, stick that fake shit right back up your ass where it was generated from to begin with. Now, ignoring that typo where I put an E at the end of legit where it doesn't belong, as well as many other typos and replies later on, this was the one point that completely destroyed the entire basis for his preconceived notions. And like the typical idiot that he is, guess what? He never even addresses these facts no matter how many times I ask him to do so. That's because he couldn't, so he just sidestepped around them and tried to use other failed troll tactics instead. Moving on, I completely destroy his reasoning for bashing wrestling for being predetermined. Number 4. Everything wrestling is, predetermined and choreographed, can be used to describe movies as well. And I sure as shit don't see you wrestling is fake retards complaining about those. In fact, movies can be considered even less genuine than wrestling, considering all the CG special effects that are put into most films nowadays. Not one fucking wrestling detractor has even attempted to counter this argument, and for good reason. They would look foolish if they did. Not one detractor has attempted to do so, until Short Bus Rider, that is, and as you'd expect, he makes himself look foolish in the process. But we'll get to that in a second. Continuing. Number 5. Stop being of the mentality that fans view pro wrestling as a legitimate competitive sport like UFC, 'cause we don't. It's an athletic art form. That's all it has been, and that's all it ever will be. In this point, I actually laid a trap that I was kind of hoping he'd fall headfirst into. He didn't quite fall for said trap like I wanted, which was to address how more legit UFC and MMA in general is over pro wrestling, but he still fell into the trap by actually not addressing it at all and continuing to repeat the same thing ad nauseum, on top of falling into it a completely different way that wasn't even my original intent. I'll elaborate more on that in a while. Number 6. We know it's a male soap opera. That's kind of the point. It can also be described as a live-action comic book. Despite it being targeted towards men, it has quite a few female fans as well. Once again, not only driving the point home that us fans know it's predetermined and that it's not a bad thing, but also simultaneously destroying this notion that it's targeted towards men by stating the fact that it has legions of female fans as well, despite his claim that it's targeted towards men. Then, just to add the last piece of bread to this factual sandwich, I pretty much restate how his go-to insult of pro wrestling has long been invalidated. Number 7. Seriously, get some new material. The wrestling is fake argument became irrelevant around the late 90s. It's so irrelevant that us fans are the ones that make fun of the knuckle draggers that still use it as a demeaning insult, when we already know full well what wrestling is all about. So, as you can see, I hit him with my patented mighty factual slam right off the bat. In doing so, I let him know exactly what he'd be in for if he continued with his nonsense. I gave him a chance to admit defeat. Hell, I would have settled for him simply not replying and walking away with at least a little bit of his dignity left. That's all he had to do. But instead, this pride-filled failed troll bullshit takes over, and it did him no favors whatsoever. In a complete and total daze from my factual slam, he fired back with the following. New material? Just because a fact is old doesn't mean it's still not a fact. Still not a fact? So it was never a fact to begin with, like I said then, right? Glad we cleared that up. Seriously though, I like how all he read into that was me disregarding it simply on the grounds of it being old and not, say, invalid. He continues, you're using movies to defend wrestling? LMAO! We don't call movies fake because there's no need to state the obvious. Everyone knows movies are fake, just like wrestling. And that was his so-called counter to my movies argument. So he accepts one art form for not being legit but demean the other for the same thing simply because more people know that the first art form isn't legit? Yeah. More on that in a second. For now, let's continue. If you so-called fans are no longer bothered by the fake claims, then why did you just cry out several paragraphs trying to defend it's not? I don't know anything about crying, but I pretty much invalidate that statement with the very first point in my next reply. And to finish his vomit of a reply up, yeah, wrestling is fake. Even more today than it ever was. Sorry to break your heart, dude. And game on. I guess just one factual slam wasn't enough for him, even though it dazed him to the point of utter retardation, as demonstrated by that previous reply. This is when I decide to take him on a little trip to Factual Slam City. So if you just admitted that everybody knows movies are fake, just like wrestling, then why did you still feel the need to make the statement, wrestling is fake, when everybody already knows or should know that wrestling isn't legitimate, just like movies aren't? I can play that game too. This basically destroyed his logic of, if you so-called fans aren't bothered by the fake claims, then why did I type several paragraphs defending it? If us being fans of wrestling didn't bother him, why did he even feel the need to start this whole thing by not only stating wrestling was fake, but attempting a thinly veiled insult at me for liking it when I'm in my 30s? Short bus rider, if you just so happen to be watching this, word of advice, dumbass. Don't fucking play that you can't say I didn't bother you because I got a reaction out of you bullshit when me just posting a random status update directed at absolutely nobody got a reaction out of you. That grenade exploded in your hand long before you attempted to throw it. It exploded in your hand the minute you posted that first reply that started all this, like the failed troll that you are. We now return to your utter decimation already in progress. You know movies aren't legit, and you know wrestling isn't legit either, yet you ridicule wrestling and give movies a pass? That makes not a lick of sense. Both of them are storytelling art forms, and both are predetermined/choreographed. Only differences are that wrestling is live action, and movies are manipulated more due to computer-generated effects. This is why nobody with a functioning brain cell would try to counter the comparison of movies and wrestling in terms of being non-genuine art forms. Because they would look stupid and hypocritical. And the fact that the only basis he has to back up his point is that more people know and accept that movies aren't real as opposed to wrestling is even more stupid. More people knowing and accepting that movies are a non-legit storytelling art form does not change the fact that this idiot and all other like-minded morons cannot praise one art form for being a non-legit storytelling art form, but bash the other for being a non-legit storytelling art form. If the reason why you bash wrestling is that it's a non-legit storytelling art form, you better damn well bash movies for exactly the same thing. Otherwise, you look like a biased, hypocritical douchebag. Moving on. And I just love how you sidestepped all those questions I asked in order to prove your justification in saying it's fake. Factually fake at that, rather than predetermined/choreographed. And don't even bother trying to tell me they mean the same thing in order to weasel your way out of your own stupid statements, because they don't. Semantics actually matters here. And you know what's funny? Even after I outright predicted he would use the tactic of trying to equate predetermined/choreographed with being fake and preemptively invalidated it, his retarded ass still used it, because he's just that dumb. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Finishing up my latest factual barrage, once again showing that what he said didn't actually make me mad in the slightest bit. Don't get it twisted. I'm not mad or bothered in the slightest bit about anything you've said. I'm laughing at the sheer stupidity on display. Stupidity that should have died out in the 90s when wrestling was as exposed as it could get at that, while destroying said stupidity with facts. Facts that you've hilariously tried to sidestep. Just because I reply to stupid bullshit doesn't mean I'm bothered by it. I just like exposing idiocy made of glass with ironclad facts. So now that I've shown my own motivation for replying to his dumbass, his motivation for even making that initial comment to start with could be one of two things. Either A, the fact that me being a fan of wrestling and in my 30s bothered him to the point of making a reply, thereby making his shot at me for replying to his dumbass completely worthless, or B, he was attempting to troll me, thinking he was going to get an actual angry reaction out of me because I couldn't dispute anything that he said, yet got a reaction where I mocked his dumbass and destroyed his dumb shit with facts, which is the whole reason why I call him a fail troll. He acts like his stupid posts are factually based, yet when I easily destroy them, as you're about to see, he just regurgitates the same exact things he's been saying repeatedly. Now that he's withstood 2 mighty factual slams in a row, Short Bus Rider tries his damnedest to do his best Brock Lesnar impersonation by no-selling them with his next reply, where he pretty much just repeats the same exact things ad nauseum and pulls the exact tactic that I predicted he would pull, while at the same time invalidating it. He tries in vain to no-sell my devastating factual slams, when it's become obvious to anybody with sense and working eyeballs that he's figuratively concussed at this point. However, let's trudge on through his laughable reply anyway. You admitted it's scripted. You admitted the outcome is predetermined. What's left for me to answer? You just admitted it's all fake. But fine, I'll entertain your moronic view that you've confused with intelligence. What did I tell you, people? Hook, line, and sinker. And the hilarious part is, this wasn't even an actual trap I set. I outright predicted he would try to equate predetermined / choreographed with fake, and predeterminedly destroyed that weapon of choice by stating that in the context of the art form of wrestling, predetermined / choreographed is not the same thing as fake, because fake would imply that nobody is in the ring doing any sort of physical activity whatsoever. Yet they are, and actual pain is part of their job. If it wasn't, he would have no problem countering the issues of wrestlers having a tendency to become addicted to painkillers, or how real injuries still happen, or how wrestlers tend to retire with near debilitating physical health problems.
Professional wrestling is like that's a business unlike any other in the world. The injuries mount up like crazy. They do what they can to ease their suffering or whatever. There are guys out there that take pain pills and they die from it. They want to get in the ring and they want to give you the best show they can.
But like the figuratively concussed dipshit that he is, he still thought equating these terms was a good tactic to use. At this point, he's pretty much factually slamming himself. However, let's continue to humor old dipshit here and see what he replied with. Number 1. Just because old people watch it doesn't mean anything. That's by far your weakest argument. No, Chuckles, what's weak is the fact that you took that remark at face value and didn't get the full scope of what I was trying to say, which I will happily pull the rug out from under him in time. For now, let's continue. Number 2, just because something was already stated in the past doesn't make it have less meaning. Just like I said, people, repeating the same exact worthless defenses over and over. Forget addressing the actual facts I presented that render said bullshit defense is worthless. Let's just stick our fingers in our ears with the mentality of a child and scream, "I'm not listening to you!" over and over. Continuing. Number 3, fake, fraud, shame, hoax, not genuine. What if someone told a boxer to let the other guy win? What kind of fight would you call that? Why should wrestling be called anything else? First of all, I think he meant sham instead of shame. Second of all, what's not genuine about wrestling is the outcomes, and some, I repeat, some of the moves in the ring. This is what I've been trying to tell his dumbass this entire time. Wrestlers can only choreograph so much. There's only so much fall training you can do, and only so much of those fall techniques you can master. They're still getting thrown on the ground, still doing very risky and dangerous stunts, and they still get hurt. Third, he brings up the boxing thing, and oh boy, what I have in store for that. Fourth, here he is once again trying to equate predetermined / choreographed with fake. I make those distinctions an awful lot, don't I? I do this for a reason. Because in the context of the physical art form, i.e. the matches in the ring, they do not mean the same thing. If they did mean the same thing, nobody would ever get hurt in the ring. And if nobody ever got hurt in the ring, he could have easily explained all those points I brought up about injuries, pain medicine addictions, and long-term physical health problems. But he couldn't, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Next. Number 4. Stop trying to compare wrestling to movies as a defense. Nobody claims movies are real. That's the huge difference. Movies are fake, and so if wrestling is like a movie, then it too is fake. Movies just tend to have better actors. So he just admitted by his own logic that movies and wrestling are one and the same in the sense that they are not genuine in the sense that they are storytelling art forms. Yet in the same exact breath attempts to tell me to stop using movies as a defense simply on the grounds that nobody claims movies are real. You see how badly this boy needs medical attention from just 2 of my factual slams? Again, the defense of nobody claims movies are real means jack fucking shit. You cannot praise an art form that fits a certain mold, yet demean another for fitting the exact same mold. In this case, the fact that both movies and wrestling are a manipulated storytelling art form. Like I said, he's doing the work for me at this point. Hell, even WWE wrestlers themselves have compared the theatrics of pro wrestling to movies. Take it away, Edge.
Let's talk to Tom in Victoria. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Good. I think wrestling absolutely, it's an absolute scream. It's great entertainment. Myself and my buddies get together every Monday night and we watch it. We watch all you guys' pay-per-views and have an absolute blast with it. But a couple weeks back we were watching it and something really caught me off guard, and that was with The Undertaker and his new little role that he's portraying. And I guess when he slit his wrist there and TSN cut it off just after it happened. And we both sat there and talked about it because we were stunned, absolutely stunned at it. Other than that, though, I must say that wrestling is an absolute blast, though.
Okay, so Tom, for you, that was going too far?
Oh yeah, I was definitely caught off guard. I turned my head when I saw it, and I don't know what actually happened.
Yeah, we did edit that.
And also, if you look at The Undertaker, how is he any different than Darth Vader?
Oh, true.
Darth Vader's hand was cut off in a movie.
Oh yeah, well, this is just...
Again, so how is it any different?
Hollywood effects.
Though, eh?
How is it any different, though? Because it was just special effects. I can compare it directly to Darth Vader because Darth Vader had his hand cut off in a movie.
I remember.
But were you disturbed by that?
No.
Well, then why would you be disturbed by this?
This was real life.
No, it's not real life. It's sports entertainment. If you think it's real life, then you should sit down and talk to your children, and maybe you have some figuring out to do, too.
Don't get the edge mad.
It was just a thing that caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting.
Okay, but it's not real life, and you need to realize that, too.
And before anybody says it, Edge stating that special effects were used for a non-wrestling segment, because I know exactly what segment he was referring to, does not mean that what's actually done in the ring is completely staged and special effects laden. The trick about wrestling is to determine what exactly is real and what isn't. They are in a lot less danger during non-wrestling segments where no stunts are performed whatsoever. Moving on. Number 5. Your entire argument has been about trying to defend wrestling as something legit, so your statement means nothing. So I think it's legit, yet I've blatantly said it's predetermined and choreographed. How many times now? Have I ever once said that the wrestlers are actually fighting to determine an actual winner? No, I haven't. I dare anybody to show me where I have, because I've got all kinds of factual slams to go around. Continuing. Number 6. We agree on something. It's a silly soap opera. Regardless of what he perceives it to be in terms of what it feels like, doesn't change the fact that his fake claims are bullshit. I'll touch on this point more in my next reply. Let's finish his mountain of retardation real quick. Number 7. Now you are just repeating yourself after trying to stand on grounds that all I've done is repeat the age-old statement of wrestling is fake. It might not be new material, but then again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The irony on display. I have no words. And yet again, reading everything I say at face value and thinking by me saying old, I just mean old rather than invalid, irrelevant, and worthless. Like I said, you can see him trying in vain to no-sell my posts, doing his best to not address any of them, let alone read them. However, you can also see him struggling to stand his ground on account of there's only so much ignoring of facts that you can do. I would have actually taken pity on him at this point. That is, if I was capable of taking pity on dipshits that don't know when to do the job like they should and tap out. Another crippling factual slam incoming. Intellectual fraud detected. What's left for you to answer is the bullshit context in which you use the word fake. Predetermined does not equal fake in terms of the physical activity between two or more people that takes place in the ring. I've already provided factual reasons as to why that isn't the case, yet you continue to sidestep around them and continue to dismiss all of it simply on the grounds that it's predetermined, just like movies are. It's basically the non-intellectual equivalent of sticking your fingers in your ears and yelling, la 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 la, I'm not listening to you, I'm not listening to you. Said factual reasons you've yet to address include why/how do legit injuries still happen often if what wrestlers do in the ring is fake? Why/how wrestlers tend to develop addictions to pain medication so they can continue to perform if what they do in the ring is fake? Why/how do wrestlers experience physical health problems due to severe wear and tear after retiring from the business if what they do in the ring is fake? If I go see a live show, am I somehow just watching highly detailed CGI versions of wrestlers performing in the ring with no live bodies in said ring whatsoever? No? Then how is what they're doing in the ring fake? You can only choreograph the punches/kicks/slams/landings so much. Damn. All that fucking ownage. I'm just getting started. This can actually be considered multiple factual slams at the same time at this point. So let's pick him up and slam him some more by mutilating all the so-called counterpoints in his previous reply in order. First, I pull the rug out from under him and show him to be the face value interpreting moron he is. Now, as for your retarded counterpoints, number 1, you were the one that brought age into this to begin with, clown. You thought that me being over 30 and watching it was something to ridicule, when the fact is that people of all age ranges watch it. That's the underlying point I was making by using the 60-year-old example. But of course you take that at face value like the Cro-Mag you are, hook, line, and sinker. Not surprising considering the complete ineptitude of context and semantics you've been displaying thus far. Fact is, professional wrestling has a worldwide fan base of millions of all ages and ethnicities. Matter of fact, it's more revered and treasured in both Japan and Mexico than it is in the States, despite many people of those countries knowing it's predetermined. God damn! The ownage. The pure ownage and destruction on hand. It's actually kind of hard for even me to watch. Nah, just kidding. I'm enjoying every little bit of it. Again, let the destruction continue. Now let's destroy that face value old bullshit once and for all. Number 2, it does when 95% of the wrestling industry's fans, and the other 5% being overly invested idiots, including children, already know it's predetermined and have known since around the 90s. Why are people like you still holding on to this notion that it's supposed to be legit fighting? If you want legit fighting, there's MMA and boxing, or as legit as it can get. More on that in a second. Pro wrestling is not, has not, and will not ever be legit in that context, and it's never claimed to be. It's an art form. Deal with it. Notice how I start to spring that trap about MMA I set a while back? While he didn't take that bait, he did provide some bait of his own by bringing boxing into the equation, which just so happens to have something in common with MMA. The one thing they have in common was the basis for what I used for my MMA trap. So by bringing up boxing, he ended up inadvertently falling into my trap anyway. Let the trap be sprung. Number 3. Again, dipshit, you're the one equating the fact that it's predetermined as your rationale for saying all of it is fake. They don't mean the same thing in the context of the art form. In the context of the physical activity going on in the ring, fake is the incorrect terminology. If it were, nobody would ever be getting hurt when performing their stunts at all, ever. Because everything that happens in the ring is fake, i.e. not genuine, i.e. not actually happening. And I love how you bring up the concept of boxers throwing fights as some sort of argument to legitimize boxing and put it on a higher pedestal than wrestling, especially considering the fact that there have been cases of boxers doing that exact thing. And here we have the first of many sources that are linked in the description for you to check out for yourselves. Fucking exposed. The trap was set and the trap was sprung. And the best part is, he is the one that brought boxing up thinking that no boxers have ever thrown fights due to promoters' orders because said promoter made a business decision to make a certain boxer a star. Nope, never happened. But let's bash wrestling for doing that exact same thing and being open and honest about it. Oh, but that's not all. Let's completely seal him into that trap by popping the false bubble of legitimacy of MMA. LMAO, foot, meat, mouth. Oh, and as far as MMA goes, it may very well not be legit in the outcome area either. Here's a little bit of in-the-know knowledge not many wrestling fans know about. The referees of wrestling matches usually wear earpieces so that people backstage can communicate with them to help script out what happens next in the match. There's a pretty well-known MMA promotion you may have heard of by the name of Pride FC, and guess what? The referees there wear earpieces as well. Now why is that? Could it have anything to do with the fact that it's predetermined as well? Oh shit, this is getting real ugly and brutal for poor short bus rider here.
Somebody stop the damn match! Enough's enough!
Shut the fuck up, JR. I'll stop when I damn well feel like it. Believe it or not, I've barely even started with this clown. Let's continue the vicious beatdown. Unlike boxing and MMA, pro wrestling doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is, which is not a competitive sport, but rather a physical/athletic storytelling art form. So I can actually make the argument that it's more genuine than either boxing or MMA on the grounds that it's not putting up a front that it's something it isn't. Jesus, this is a factual mudhole stomping that's beyond imagination. And you'll see the fruits of my labor come to full fruition, I assure you. The damage I do to this man with all these crushing factual slams, well, you will see what it does to him, trust me. Now let's continue this unholy slaughter. Now I show what a complete and utter dipshit and hypocrite he is by attacking my comparison between wrestling and movies. Number 4. No, you stop defending an art form that is scripted and predetermined while in the same breath condemning another art form for the same thing on the grounds that because the latter art form involves live action, muscle men, and title belts, that it can't be scripted and predetermined. Whether or not more people know and accept that movies are scripted and predetermined means fuck all. It's still hypocritical no matter how you try to spin it. Next, let's kill the notion he brought up that I was defending wrestling as a legit competitive sport. Number 5, I'm not trying to defend it as legit when it comes to the outcomes or even the planned pacing of matches. Where have I ever said anything about or expressed the notion that it's authentic competition? I've even said it's an art form, which eliminates any notion of competitive sport. What I am saying is that when it comes to the actual physical activity that takes place in matches, the word fake cannot be used to describe it. The only way it could is if nobody ever got hit, slammed, cut, injured, or even feel any remote pain whatsoever. If that is in fact the case, and it is all fake, properly address and counter the above facts preceded with a hyphen. You can't. And you know you can't, which is why you continue to sidestep around them. Now he's pretty much figuratively spitting up blood at this point. But does that stop me? Hell to the fuck no. He called down the thunder, so he's going to get the hurricane. With this next point, where I pretty much somewhat agree with him about the soap opera thing, I take a small break from factual slamming just to slap him in the face like a bitch and punk him out for a brief moment while laughing at how broken he is, before I swiftly scoop him up and deliver yet another devastating factual slam. Number 6. Yes, it can be in fact silly as shit. Sometimes silly to the point of being groan-inducing and even unwatchable. However, when it's good, it's fucking great. Same exact fucking things can be said about the art form of film, whether it be TV shows or feature-length movies. But never mind all that. Everybody already knows and accepts that about movies, so they get a pass. Before the referee can pull me off of him and stop the match via KO, I immediately pick him up and continue to give him the full tour of Factual Slam City by addressing his ironic point about me repeating myself. Number 7. No, that's not all you've done. You've also displayed a gross lack/disregard of proper context and semantics by trying to equate the fact that it's predetermined as a means to say all aspects of the art form aren't real, i.e. fake. You continuously using this old hat argument means one of two things, or both. A. You're a slobbering buffoon that can't comprehend the concept of physical activity that is happening in the ring is really happening. Or B. You're a pretentious douchebag that thinks that because pro wrestling involves a ring, muscle men, and title belts means that it has to be a competitive sport and look down upon it and its fans for being an athletic art form instead. And here's where I give him a factual slam so cruel, so catastrophic, so destructive that it makes him look like an absolute piece of shit to claim that what happens in the ring is fake. Considering the fact that at the time this utter murder of this dumbass was taking place, a wrestler had actually died from what transpired in the ring. Here we go. Whichever door you want to open, consider thyself exposed. And I'll leave you with this. It's funny given the timing of this little back and forth pissing match we've been having that a wrestler has very recently died as a result of what happened in the ring. And here's the article. In case anybody watching this doesn't know, here's what happened. A wrestler you may have heard of by the name of Rey Mysterio was performing in Mexico's AAA promotion. He performed a simple dropkick spot in order to set up his opponent for his 619 finisher. Well, the drop kick went wrong, and said wrestler, whose name I cannot pronounce, so I won't even try out of respect, became limp between the ropes. Said wrestler was then carried off into an ambulance where he was pronounced dead early in the morning due to whiplash. Now behold, as I use this as arguably my most devastating factual slam yet, as I throw his dumbass shit back in his face. Now, I'm going to pretend to have your whole fake logic for a second. Why the fuck is this news? How the hell can anybody buy into this? Wrestling is fake! They just made it look like he died just so they could add melodrama to their silly-ass soap opera. Fuck this stupid fake shit pretending to be real and the stupid virginal fans that watch it and buy into this news of an actual death in a fake-ass wrestling ring. Move for me more, lulz cow. Exactly. Short bus rider, if you're watching this, if you ever just so happen to meet Rey Mysterio, I want you to tell him to his face that wrestling is a pathetic and fake soap opera. Considering what he has to live with now, I'd bet money he'd kick your little douchebag ass. No, better yet, I want you to visit the family of the wrestler who died as a result of the fake shit that happened in the ring and tell them to their faces that wrestling is fake, you stupid piece of fucking garbage. If anybody uses the retarded ass wrestling is fake bullshit again, here's my advice. Shove this in their face and see if they don't sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up afterwards. That is, unless they're a complete and utter retard like Short Bus Rider over here. Oh yeah, even with this presented to him, he kept running his stupid damn e-mouth, as you'll see here in a minute. However, before the referee stopped the match and awarded me the winner via a dominating KO, I hit him with 2 more factual slams for good measure. First, I linked the hilarious, entertaining, and insightful viral video known as Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, made by Max Landis, son of legendary movie director John Landis. In the video, Max responds to the criticism of wrestling being fake by going over in painstaking detail the storyline career of pro wrestler Triple H to demonstrate that wrestling is a storytelling art form, just like I've been saying. It's a great video, and I've linked it in the description. You owe it to yourself to check it out. Be warned though, it's been flagged for being age inappropriate for some stupid ass reason, so you need to log in with your account to see it. Then I posted a video showing some of the most brutal and real injuries in the history of the wrestling business, which is also linked in the description, where I once again mock Short Bus Rider's wrestling is fake logic with the following post. This is so fucking stupid. I can't believe anybody actually buys into this fake shit. The part where the dude's eyes pops out of his socket? What a joke. It's obviously rubber makeup applied to him backstage by some wannabe makeup effects artist that couldn't make it in Hollywood. The part where the guy's legs snapped after coming off the turnbuckle and was dangling? Don't make me laugh. That's so obviously a jelly-molded prop. This fake-ass shit is so ridiculous, and any fan of it is a brainless fool. Notice how I threw in a few references to professional Hollywood-caliber film production? Once again, indirectly comparing the scripted, predetermined, and choreographed nature of wrestling with the scripted, predetermined, and choreographed nature of movies. Even though what was shown in the video was far from any of those three. I didn't expect Short Bus Rider to get the subtlety, but the pure stupidity he would come back with later in this post blew my mind. And that's saying something considering all the stupid shit he had said thus far. You're going to start to truly see the mental effects my factual slam barrage had on him in just a second. Trust me. Anyways, Short Bus Rider didn't come back with any new replies for almost a week. So I just assumed he had been utterly crippled by being thrown around in Factual Slam City. But then, he posted this. A Tosh.0 video about an overly excited and invested pro wrestling fan with the following post attached to it. Don't think wrestling fans are just man-childs? That's right, people. This short bus riding, moronic, idiotic piece of shit tried to use a Tosh.0 video as some sort of long-awaited counter-argument and shot at me. Man, oh man, the brain damage my Factual slams had done to him. He wasn't just figuratively crippled in a wheelchair, he now had the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient. His continued pride in not admitting he was wrong and refusal to know when he's beat, in his mind-fucked and brain-scrambled state, is not admirable in the slightest. How he honestly thought he could use a Tosh.0 video as a means of attacking pro wrestling, its fans, and me? Laughable. Laughable and sad. But that didn't stop me from yanking him out of his figurative wheelchair to have him endure yet another series of brutal Factual slams. I mean, hey, he must have had a figurative death wish at that point, so why not oblige him? LMAO, wow. This is your long-awaited rebuttal to my last post in our little debate? You attempt to refute the irrefutable facts I presented with a Tosh.0 video. Let that sink in. Actually, no, I take that back. You didn't attempt to refute anything and continued to do your little fail troll sidestepping dance routine garbage and decided to attack what you perceive to be the average wrestling fan. And you want to know something absolutely hilarious? This video he posted not only backed up a lot of what I said to him, but Tosh himself couldn't decide whether to mock wrestling or praise it. In the video, he displays some pretty elaborate knowledge of wrestling that wrestling detractors wouldn't be caught dead knowing about. As for what points it brought up that backed up what I said, I give an example in the next part of my umpteenth Factual slam reply to him. Rather than post clips of the video in this video, I'll just link the Tosh.0 video in the description instead so you can see for yourselves because I really don't feel like risking a copyright strike from Comedy Central. Let's continue. At least the Wrestling Isn't Wrestling video I posted was not only entertaining, it was a goldmine of logical sense that could be used to efficiently back up my arguments as to why wrestling being predetermined is not a bad thing. At least the video I posted showing legit wrestling injuries could be used to efficiently back up my point that despite all the choreographing and planning of a match, it's still extremely dangerous and therefore more real than any other performance art. This video proved fuck all because not only could it not decide whether it wanted to mock wrestling or worship it, but also contained little tidbits that back up what I've been saying all along. That crippling pill addiction bit around the 1 minute 6 second mark? Gee, isn't that exactly what I said regarding the physical part of it being real? And why would wrestlers have such an addiction? Couldn't have anything to do with the fact that they're in constant pain on a near daily basis due to throwing themselves at the ground, could it? So basically, you're trying to use a video to support whatever dumb shit argument you have that in reality makes you counter yourself? I called you an intellectual fraud for a reason, clown. And all you continue to do is further prove me right. And even on top of that, this fool is so brain scrambled that the entire basis of him posting this video, in that there are wrestling fans that take wrestling way too seriously, I kind of already addressed that in one of my posts to his dumbass. Let's see it. Oh, and the desperate point you're actually trying to make with this video? Been addressed already. And I quote, "It does when 95% of the wrestling industry's fans, and the other 5% being overly invested idiots, including children, already know it's predetermined and have since around the 90s. That individual in the video represents a highly exaggerated version of that 5%. Yeah, they exist, but guess what? They don't represent the majority of fans. Matter of fact, fans like myself and the rest of the 95% look down on these people. I wouldn't hesitate to call that, "It's still real to me, damn it!" crybaby a fucking loser to his face, because he makes fans like myself look bad. Kind of like what Daniel Tosh himself did in that very video you posted, thinking you proved that all wrestling fans were that way. You probably didn't take note of the fact that he actually knew some facts about wrestling that would indicate that he's actually a fan. He even admitted he was at one point in said video. So you countered yourself. Again. Face facts. You've lost. You've been owned and exposed for life. All you're doing is digging your hole even deeper, and it's hilarious to see how desperate you are to take shots at wrestling and its fans, thinking shit like this that actually counters your own perceived bullshit notions about said wrestling and its fans is the ultimate counter-argument. Word of advice. Save your fail troll routine for the easily offended and weak-minded, because if you come at me with it, I'll make you look like the utter dumbass you are every single time. Also, know a little bit about what the subject you're talking about before you try to have a debate on it, okay? Oh, what the hell? Know a little bit about what the subject you're talking about? That's some shit grammar right there. I'm fucking exposed. Anyways, doesn't diminish the utter ass rape Short Bus Rider has received, though. To finish. Or you can keep the fail coming. I don't give a shit either way. Your fail is my win and entertainment. Move for me more, lols cow. Guess what? He never made a reply to that. Not only did I punk his ass out in front of all our mutual friends yet again, but this time I punked his ass out in front of everybody else on his friends list that weren't on my friends list. So that means not only did everybody on my friends list witness me factually slamming the shit out of him, but everybody on his friends list saw me show how much of a moron he is as well. Oh, but I wasn't done yet. No. The Tosh.0 tactic was just too stupid for me to ignore. I posted a new status on my Facebook taking a shot at Short Bus Rider and his utter stupidity. Word of advice. Don't use a Tosh.0 video as a means of debate when said video counters your own stupid-ass arguments and perceptions about the very subject you're bashing. Not only that, it's a fucking Tosh.0 video. Even after all this, Short Bus Rider would not accept defeat. He rolled in on his wheelchair, dazed and confused by my latest Factual slam, ready to try to get his second rematch. They say there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, and he went so far past the line that it became a dot. His latest bout of dumbassery? A tactic he'd already used. Going back to the "why did you make a long response if it didn't bother you" routine. Are you fucking serious? I have factually slammed him retarded. Nah, wait, he was already retarded. After all, I've been referring to him as Short Bus Rider since the start of this video. So, round 3. Fight! If it's just Tosh, then why did you write a 10K word essay complaining about it like a little bitch? Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sounds of your butthurt-induced menstrual cramps that influenced your decision to unfriend me at this point in the game. Yep, after he made that reply to my status update, he unfriended me. Absolutely hilarious. You can clearly see his mental breakdown firsthand. But believe it or not, it'll get better. Just wait. The payoff ending is just around the corner. So I decide to once again yank him out of his wheelchair and throw him around the ring with Factual slam after Factual slam after Factual slam. To answer his question, because you using that video as a means of debating in favor of your retarded point of view was just that hilariously stupid. Now as for his "why did you react to me" bullshit, I'll turn it around on him once again for the second time. I can also flip the shit on you by asking you why did you start the shitstorm to begin with by attempting to insult me and other fans of pro wrestling when you could have just skipped right over my status update entirely instead of spewing your mental diarrhea via your keyboard all over said status update. Not only that, you kept the entire thing going. So once again, how are you going to try to attack me for responding to your dumbass when you responded to my simple status update directed at nobody in particular first? The answer? I'll go ahead and answer that for you. You are attempting those fail troll tactics that have offended other people to the point of blocking you. I've seen how you talk to people on this site. But you didn't actually expect somebody like me to not only not get offended by it, but to also laugh at you while at the same time handing you a plate full of your ass with your own fallacies. You tried to fail troll me, but instead wound up as my little plaything. Continuing, what a shock that you have to resort to attacking the length of my posts that completely destroy you. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the last act of a desperate retard that can't actually counter any of what was presented in said posts. Intellectual fraud confirmed. Actually, before I continue, that last act of a desperate retard thing is a lie. You'll actually see said last act of a desperate retard in his final reply to all this. For now, let's move on. Maybe said posts are so lengthy because there was so much shit wrong with what you've been spewing out that feculence factory you call a brain. Another piece of advice. Too long didn't read is the mantra of the retards. And that's completely true. If you want to have a proper debate with me, you had better learn to read everything I write so you can actually form an intelligible counter-argument to what I present. Otherwise, you'll end up looking like this dumbass here. If ever there was a case of showing how retarded the too long didn't read method of debate is, look no further than the shining example of our beloved short bus rider. Let's continue with me addressing the unfriending bit. And you're not really one to talk about being a little bitch, considering you got so butthurt by my response to your Tosh.0 defense that you unfriended me. Oh, what's the matter? Did I completely destroy your dumbass assertions with factual evidence and logic? I'm sorry, I always do that. But then again, maybe if you knew what the fuck you were talking about before making yourself look like a bumbling fool in your attempt to denounce an art form with the same tired, worthless trope, I wouldn't have had to lay that mushroom cloud of destructive ownage. If you didn't want the lightning, you shouldn't have called down the thunder. I guess it's a good thing I screen capped that idiotic Tosh.0 post of yours, as well as my response to it, considering it's now hidden from your page on my end now that you've unfriended me, which means I can't see or respond to any absurd response you might have made towards it. It's also a good thing I screen capped everything that has transpired during this back and forth pissing match. This will make excellent material for an exposure video in the near future. Toodles! Now we have his final reply, which shows just how butthurt he truly is. Let us gaze upon the complete and total definitive destruction of the poor short bus rider. So, to directly quote you, God, wrestling fans are such gullible social reject loser perma-virgins. Whoa, hold up a second. When I first saw this post, I didn't know what exactly he was getting at. But then I just so happened to look back on that one post of mine with the wrestling injuries video. A fellow wrestling fan and friend of mine posted a response to it a while back, as you can see, referencing the Rey Mysterio incident I covered earlier. I then playfully mock him using Short Bus Rider's own logic, when in actuality I was really just mocking Short Bus Rider some more. And you actually believe that fake-ass news? God, wrestling fans are such gullible social reject loser perma-virgins! It was actually a dropkick that killed that guy from what I've read. So there was that quote. Yet here comes Short Bus Rider, completely oblivious to the obvious joke I was making, probably due to him being so disoriented by all my factual slams that he didn't know left from right or up from down, with this brilliant reply. So now you're saying wrestling is fake? Way to contradict yourself, idiot. My response? Pretty damn obvious. Sarcasm. Look it up, dipshit. Wow, short bus rider. You might want to go see a doctor for all that brain damage as a result from your stay in Factual Slam City. You not only missed the blatant sarcasm in my mocking post towards you, but you even missed the part where I come out of the damn joke and become serious by telling the guy that it was a drop kick that killed that wrestler in Mexico. What a fucking dumbass. But anyways, back to this blatantly butthurt and angry final reply of his. How is it trolling if I posted something on my wall and you came at me with a book of whining BS excuses? Yep, you're brain dead, all right. I never came to your Facebook wall and saw that, short bus rider. It was on my damn news feed because you were still on my friends list when you posted it, so therefore I could see it on my news feed. I mean, for fuck's sakes, how stupid are you, boy? Like I said, my Factual Slam onslaught completely destroyed what little brains you had left. Also, the failed trolling bit I was referring to had nothing to do with your Tosh.0 post. It was regarding your initial post on my original status update about the Bray Wyatt/Undertaker match at WrestleMania 31 that started the whole entire thing. Reading is fundamental, moron. And I posted whining BS excuses, yet you didn't bother to even address, let alone counter, a single damn one and sidestep around them like a merry idiot. Let's continue. I can only imagine you got punched a lot in the Army, which I'm still flabbergasted you somehow managed to make it in. Behold, the true last act of a desperate retard. Making shit up about my personal life that he knows fuck all about. Anyways, we'll come back to that later, because I know something about Short Bus Rider's so-called Army career that he conveniently left out of the equation. He wants to play that game? We'll play. But for now, let's move on. Look, wrestling is fake, plain and simple. If all you can do is write 4 paragraphs calling me names like a little child, then you're only proving my point for me. You're in your 30s, for fuck's sake. Grow the hell up. And here we have pretty much a blatant admission that he either didn't even read anything that I wrote or poorly comprehended it. Because if he did read and comprehend any of it, he would have addressed those facts about the lives of pro wrestlers that prove that they do experience real pain in the ring. No, see, he just saw that I was calling him names like idiot, dumbass, dipshit, etc., and just clinged to that and threw out everything else. Newsflash, short bus rider. If I call you an idiot, I'm stating a fact based on the intelligence you show. I call you an idiot and then explain exactly why you're an idiot to prove it's a fact. Maybe if you actually addressed the shit I posted to you, I wouldn't have had to show how much of an idiot you are. Continuing. You screen capped it? Oh no, whatever shall I do? Why would I even care? I'll send you the damn post to your inbox if you want to drool over your absurd responses that much. He who uses Tosh.0 as a response is saying my responses are absurd. Right. And I told you exactly what I'd be using the screen caps for, had you bothered to read. And apparently, you must have come to the realization of what I was planning to do because, well, we'll see in just a moment. I removed you because all you do is bitch and whine about everything!
You lie! You're a fucking liar! Shut up!
Short bus rider. That is a lie. A blatant lie. Not the bitching and whining part specifically, although that's a lie too, and I'll address why it's a lie in my response. No, that's a lie, because if that's the real reason why you unfriended me like you claim, you would have done it a long time ago. Awfully convenient that you used this excuse to unfriend me right at the time that I was thoroughly owning and exposing you to be the complete and utter dipshit that you are. Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining, short bus rider. You know damn well you unfriended me because I made you look like a fool. The timing of your unfriending confirms it. And like I said, if my so-called bitching and whining bothered you that much, you would have unfriended me a long-ass time ago. Not only are you stupid at this point, but you are a damage-controlling liar. Finishing this sob-fest of a reply up, and trying to make you see reason is like trying to convince a 4-year-old the Easter Bunny isn't real. Your head is so far up your ass most of the time you're blind to the most obvious shit, which are your posts. Toodles, you social reject virgin. Wow, somebody's mad. Feel better now, short bus rider? Got it all out? You done telling the whole world why you hate your superior so much? Good. Let's move on to the final nail in your coffin. You notice that unlike the rest of the images, I didn't completely block out his name. Reason being, as you can see here, it's at this time that I noticed that his name was in all black. If you know anything about Facebook, you know that names show up as a blue hyperlink. So I decided to do a search for him on Facebook to see if he showed up in any semblance, and he didn't. Thankfully, I had the URL from one of my screen caps, so I go to it and I find this. My brutal series of factual slams infected his mind so much that the only way he could stop the onslaught he started was to block me. God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Do you people now see the power of the factual slam? This dude got so mind-fucked that he had to push the block button to stop something he started because he couldn't handle the responses he was getting. And I confirmed that he blocked me because I saw his account was still up when my girlfriend logged into her skeleton Facebook account. If I wasn't already going to make this video based on all the stupidity he displayed during our argument, this cowardly act made it a requirement to make said video. This act of pure cowardice, combined with his previous emotional meltdown of a reply, shows that my last factual slam was off the top of a 16-foot-high hell in a cell and he landed through a table wrapped in barbed wire that was on fire. He had to be carried out of the Facebook ring on a stretcher. But that sure as hell didn't stop me from taking out the EMTs, overturning the figurative stretcher that he was on, take his limp carcass back to the Facebook ring, and proceed to factual slam him about 10 more times. You make this too damn easy, my boy. You really do. Number 1. So, to directly quote you, God, wrestling fans are such gullible social reject loser virgins. How the fuck are you going to take a quote that was meant to be a sarcastic jab at you and other people with your mentality and use that against me thinking it's going to turn anything around? You do realize that the whole point of that remark, which is the type of remark people like you would make, combined with posting video evidence that goes against that entire remark, was to show how stupid said remark was, thus showing how stupid you and people like you are, right? Jesus, you're more brain dead than I thought. At this point, I'd recommend buying a helmet. Like I said in the reply to your stupidity and said remark you pulled that quote from, sarcasm. Look it up. I mean, I understand that sarcasm isn't always easy to detect via text, but for the life of me, I can't wrap my head around the fact that he thought I was being serious with that wrestling fans being perma-virgins remark, which would have sided with him when I've been spending all this time going against him. Like I said, I never knew shoving irrefutable facts down somebody's throat could be this damaging to the human brain to where they say and do such stupid shit. Be that as it may, let's move on. Number 2. How is it trolling if I posted on my wall and you came at me with a book of whining BS excuses? How was that post trolling? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because at the time you posted it, you were still on my friends list. So therefore said post would show up on my newsfeed, which is where I saw it and commented on it, by the way. And you knew that. That sound about right? Yeah, let's go with that. Now go ahead and make up some shit like, I didn't know it would show up on your newsfeed, so I could call you a fucking liar. And keep in mind, I'm not just talking about that particular post. I'm talking about everything you've done since the beginning of this whole thing, starting with that very first comment of yours where you tried to indirectly insult me with that 30-year-old still watch this remark, knowing I was in my 30s. I call it fail trolling because it's blatantly obvious you've been doing all this thinking it's going to make me mad because I can't argue against any of it, when all it's done is make me laugh my ass off at you for being stupid enough to continue to think I can't argue against it, while at the same time having a blast making you look stupid by arguing against your idiocy with facts, which you refer to as excuses. Facts you have yet to even address, by the way. Apparently all those factual slams damaged his brain to the point of severe Alzheimer's, because it's awfully convenient that he seemed to have forgotten that he was still on my friends list at the time he posted that retarded Tosh.0 post, so therefore I would see his post on my newsfeed. Either that, or he knew full well I would see it, and he just tried to poorly damage control himself. As for the whining BS excuses, if that was in fact the case, why has he not even attempted to address the facts that I presented? Instead, he'll just lump them in as whining excuses for ease of dismissal since he can't be bothered with presenting counters to them on the grounds that he can't. Now we come to that little remark about my time in the United States Army, an organization he just so happened to join after I did, by the way. And oh, does he ever stuff his foot into his own mouth with this one. Number 3. I can only imagine you got punched a lot in the Army, which I'm still flabbergasted you somehow managed to make it in. Wait, aren't you still in the reserves? If so, how the fuck is a weekend warrior gonna try to talk shit about how a full-time active soldier made it in the Army? Have you even deployed yet? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Old short bus rider here joined the Army as a reserve. Now that may very well have changed, and he may have manned the fuck up and gone full active. I'm not 100% sure on that. I kind of doubt he has, seeing as how his location was still in Ohio when his Facebook page was visible on my end, and Ohio happens to be where he and I are from, and there are no installations for full-time active soldiers in Ohio. However, I can't be 100% sure, and it still doesn't change the fact that he did initially join the Army under the reserves. Somebody who only deals with the Army one weekend a month is going to try to demean somebody who dealt with the Army as a full-time job for how far they made it into said Army? And to boot, unlike myself, this motherfucker has never even been deployed to a combat zone theater. I deployed to Iraq in 2010 and went on convoy missions before this retard even considered joining the Army as a weekend warrior. Yet he wonders how I made it into the Army? I'll go ahead and elaborate for him. I made it into the Army because I was practically raised in it, therefore knew exactly what to expect by being in it. My father is a Vietnam infantry veteran who sustained near-fatal injuries in combat. Being raised by somebody like that pretty much gives you a good indication of what military life is like, so I would have no problem handling it. Continuing. So basically your implication of saying I was punched a lot in the Army was that nobody liked me while I was in said Army, right? If that's the case, how is it that out of 353 people on my friends list, 54% of them are from the Army or people from other branches I met while in the Army? 189 people out of 353. Do the math, cowboy. I was thinking about linking a whole lot of these people in this post so they can come in here and prove you to be an even bigger idiot. But I don't need other people to fight my battles for me. It's absolutely hilarious this short bus rider thinks I must have gotten punched a lot in the Army, seeing as how many people on my Facebook friends list are buddies from the Army. Hell, I even met my girlfriend of over 6 years now, while we were both in the Army. I got along great with people in the Army, both fellow soldiers and authority figures alike. Hell, my battalion commander, a lieutenant colonel, liked me so much he not only sent a personal letter to my father, but also sent out a mass email to NCOs in my unit wanting to know why I wasn't in a position of authority. That answer is pure and simple, because I didn't want to because I had no intention of making a career out of the military. Another reason I made it in the Army is because I'm actually fucking intelligent. And based on the staggering intellect Short Bus Rider has displayed, I hope to God he never gets in any position of authority, because if he does, the Army is fucked. But now we get into the meat of why he even brought this shit up in the first place. Furthermore, what does me being in the Army / what I did in the Army have to do with any of this? It's just more of your fail troll tactics to deflect the fact that I've destroyed you in the subject we've been going back and forth about with facts that you can't counter, so you won't even address them and instead resort to this garbage. Internet Loser Warfare 101, ladies and gentlemen. If you're getting your ass utterly raped and pillaged, resort to irrelevant ad hominem attacks to try to soothe your hurt ego and pride. Well done, Short Bus Rider. You're just like every other dipshit on the internet. No, scratch that. You're far worse because you seem to go into a mouth-foaming frenzy when too many facts get beaten into you. Let's move on. Number 4. Wrestling is fake, plain and simple. Internet Loser Warfare 102. Repeat the same argument ad nauseum based on the Adolf Hitler logic of telling a lie enough times till people think it's true. Only problem is that shit don't fly when there's so many established and documented facts that disprove everything you're saying. Yep, it's fake, yet real injuries occur. It's fake, yet people have actually died while doing it. It's fake, yet a common trait with wrestlers is an addiction to pain medication so they can continue to do what you claim is fake. Address these or shut the fuck up. If he ever watches this video, he never will address any of these, because he can't. Continuing. Number 5. If all you can do is write 4 paragraphs calling me names like a little child, then you're only proving my point for me. You're in your 30s, for fuck's sake. Grow the hell up. He who resorts to ad hominem attacks pulled completely from his ass that have no relevance to anything is telling me to grow the hell up. That's some delicious irony. My response? And this just proves your idiocy more definitively than I ever could. You pretty much just admitted that you didn't even read said 4 paragraphs of anything I've written to you. Because if you did, you wouldn't say all I did was call you names. When I call you an idiot, dipshit, clown, stupid ass, etc., I'm stating a fact based on the kind of logic you've displayed in your replies to me. I demean your intellect because you've earned it. You're telling me to grow the hell up, yet you don't even bother addressing the facts that disprove your entire assertions and instead continue to repeat the same things ad nauseum. That's not only childish, it's the intellectual equivalent of sticking your fingers in your ears and yelling, la 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 la, I'm not listening to you, I'm not listening to you. Pot, kettle, black. You know the saying. Short bus rider, if you're watching this, for once in your miserable life, listen to me for a minute. You know what mature adults do when it comes to debate? They actually address all of another person's counterpoints, or if they can't address them, admit they were wrong. You only address the points I made that you thought you could counter, not realizing that attempting to counter them only made you more wrong. And you didn't even bother addressing the points you couldn't even make any remote counter-arguments towards. And when you are all out of counterpoints to make due to them all being shot down, you go into this hilarious bitch fit of a meltdown like a pathetic child because you'd be damned if your bullshit preconceived notions are proven to be wrong. You're in no position to be telling anybody to grow the hell up. You've got not even a millimeter of ground to stand on in that area, my man. Now let's get back to your complete and total decimation. You screen capped it? Oh no, whatever shall I do? Block me, apparently. Why would I even care? Why did you block me if you didn't care? I'll send you the damn post to your inbox if you want to drool over your absurd responses that much. I didn't drool over my responses, but I sure as fuck did over yours, like a shark sensing blood in water. I didn't screen cap it so I could drool over my absurd responses. I screen capped it because I plan to make a video exposing your idiocy and post it on Facebook and YouTube. And here we are, with a video of it on YouTube that you, the viewer, are currently watching. I also screen capped it just in case you decided to block me like a pussy, and lo and behold, that's exactly what you've done. What's the matter? Did you get tired of getting your asshole ripped inside out with your own stupidity that you didn't want to be made a fool of anymore, so you just decided to run away to your Whittle safety bubble? What's really hilarious about this is that blocking is what other people he has trolled by being a belligerent asshole have done to him. Yet from his point of view, I was too much of an asshole for him to deal with. I guess that medicine of his that he just got a taste of don't taste very good. And finishing up my point, so now I have visual evidence that your stupid Tosh.0 post existed and that you blocked me, and both elements will be going into my video. You blocking me like a little bitch because you couldn't handle the responses you were getting to something you started just made it all the more hilarious for me. So hilarious, in fact, that it pretty much sealed the deal. I absolutely had to make this video after that happened, because it was just too sweet to pass up. Now let's expose this complete and utter lie he told about me and what I do on Facebook. Number 7. I removed you because all you do is bitch and whine about everything! And yet you choose the timing of us having this heated back and forth exchange to unfriend me, when based on your reasoning, logic dictates that you should have removed me a long-ass time ago. You don't unfriend somebody during the time of a heated argument and claim it was for an entirely different reason. The timing is too suspect. But forget about that part of it. Why else is this a blatant lie? Because he knows damn well that's not all I do on Facebook. Yep, all I do is bitch and whine about everything. Never mind all the video game and movie reviews I've posted. Never mind all the jokes I've posted via the long-deceased Fickle Facts. Yep, all I do is bitch and whine about everything! Okay, last time I'm doing that, I swear. Like I said, he knows full well I do the things I've listed here. How? Because his dumbass has responded to some of these in a mature manner to invoke actual discussion. Now, as for these fickle facts, I feel an explanation is in order. Back around 2010, I started this regular trend of making status updates known as fickle facts. They were actual facts about myself written in a humorous manner. I would write something like, Fickle fact. Due to his eagerness to sexually please a woman, Fickle would make a terrible rapist, or something along those lines. This recurring thing I created became so popular among my fellow unit members while I was in the Army that they constantly hounded me every day to give them a fickle fact, even when I'd already posted one. Hell, one of my NCOs even suggested that I make a smartphone app dedicated to this creation of mine. Eventually it wore out its welcome and I was no longer motivated to write them on a regular basis, so I retired it. Now here's what's even more interesting about fickle facts. The entire concept of it was highly inspired by professional wrestling, specifically an old gimmick called V1 from pro wrestler Matt Hardy, where his video intros would display random stupid facts about himself in a humorous and egotistical manner. No pro wrestling, no fickle facts. And what's even better, Short Bus Rider himself has responded positively to some of these fickle facts. I don't really feel like going all the way back through my posting history on Facebook to find visual examples, but I assure you they're there. So he responded positively to something that was highly inspired by, if not outright ripped the fuck off from, something he bashes and devalues. Granted, he probably didn't know where it came from, because he has obviously displayed that he knows fuck all about pro wrestling, but it's still funny all the same. And if all I ever do is bitch and whine about everything, then why didn't you unfriend me a long time ago? Again, the timing of unfriending me in conjunction to me decimating your stupid-ass logic indicated that you're a fucking liar. Now, to be fair, I do sometimes use Facebook as a platform to bitch about things that annoy the shit out of me. But it's far less than what Short Bus Rider makes it out to be. And if that bothered him so much like he claimed, why didn't he unfriend me a long time ago? He's using this as a smokescreen, and the real catalyst for unfriending me is because he didn't like how I was making him look like an idiot. But as far as I'm concerned, the proper direction to place blame is in a mirror. Let's continue on. Number 8. And trying to make you see reason is like trying to convince a 4-year-old the Easter Bunny isn't real. Your head is so far up your ass most of the time you're blind to the most obvious shit, which are your posts. Make me see reason, huh? Yeah, about that. Yep, you sure tried to make me see reason by addressing what I said and dissecting it with facts. Oh wait, my bad. I was thinking about my replies to you. Your attempts to make me see reason have amounted to not addressing any facts that are presented, saying the same thing over and over again despite the facts that I presented that you won't address, and Tosh.0. But it's me that has my head up my ass, right? Your self-fail hilarity has officially reached epic proportions, especially seeing as how you've blocked me like the cowardly bitch you are. Take note, people. This is what I do to people's minds over the internet, and all I had to do was state facts. It's just that easy. Stay tuned for the video within a week or two. Maybe 3 if I'm especially lazy. Ta-ta for now. Seemed like I was extra lazy, but in reality I was busy playing Mortal Kombat X. I posted one final response because I forgot to address his send-off of "Toodles, you social reject virgin." Oh, and one more thing. It's funny that you attempt to call me a virgin when I've been in an almost 6-year relationship. Just like with the Army remarks, making up stupid shit when you don't have anything else to use is a real sign of being an adult, right, moron? Dear oh dear. Poor short bus rider. Got his ass handed to him so bad he had to run away and block me on Facebook. He got Factual slammed to the point of winding up in a hospital, in a coma, on life support and a feeding tube. And with this video, I have broken into his hospital room, unplugged his life support machine and feeding tube, Factual slammed him about another 50 times, then did one last Factual slam through a window, causing him to fall 15 stories to his e-death. And you know what's really hilarious? I was holding back. Yeah, I actually held some stuff back because I had already overwhelmed him too much with what I'd already provided. So let's take this time to bring up a few more factual details that destroy his retarded ass wrestling is fake mentality. Just like with how I brought up the tendency of wrestlers to become addicted to pain pills in order to continue working, how real injuries happen very often, or how pro wrestlers often deal with debilitating physical problems after retiring from the business, here's a little fact I left out. Tell me, if what wrestlers do in the ring is completely fake and they don't get hurt one bit, then why does WWE employ in-house doctors and massage therapists? If wrestlers are in no physical danger whatsoever due to what they do in the ring being completely fake, why does WWE waste so much money and resources towards making sure they are physically well attended to? Of course, if I had thrown that in Short Bus Rider's face, that would have been just one more fact for him to ignore while still repeating his stupid wrestling is fake bullshit. Another tidbit this dumbass would have ignored, well, I'm going to let the man they call Vader explain it for me.
Physically, no man can do what I do in the ring. If they could, why wouldn't they be out there making the type of money we make, enjoy the type of fame and lifestyle that we enjoy?
So, if what wrestlers do in the ring is completely fake and they feel no pain whatsoever due to the choreographed nature, then what's stopping an average individual like Short Bus Rider from becoming a professional wrestler? Granted, indie wrestlers don't make much at all, but those that make it in the big leagues, like the WWE, more often than not clean up and can be set for life within a few years or less. So what's stopping people like him from doing what wrestlers do in the ring if it's all fake? Do they hate money? Do they not want to make millions of dollars? I'm pretty sure they'd have no problem setting aside their disdain for pro wrestling being completely fake from their point of view if they were getting paid the type of money WWE wrestlers are paid. I'll tell you exactly what's stopping these morons. They can't physically hack it, and deep down, they know it. They would go into training on the first day and realize, oh shit, these guys actually take bumps and all the landing techniques and training in the world will only dampen the pain so much and lower the chance of injury so much. Also, if what wrestlers do in the ring is completely 100% fake, then why are certain wrestling moves banned from the WWE? The pile driver, one of the most awesome and devastating looking moves ever, has a history of causing severe neck issues with wrestlers on the receiving end of it. Hell, the entire reason why Stone Cold Steve Austin's career had to come to an end was due to the result of a botched pile driver from Owen Hart that required him to get neck fusion surgery. But of course, if I would have brought all this up, that would have just been one more thing for Short Bus Rider to ignore. Lastly, let's talk about Colosseum gladiator fights during the Roman Empire era for a second. Left field way to end this thing, I know, and you're probably asking yourself, what does this have to do with pro wrestling battles being predetermined, staged, etc.? Well, researchers have recently drawn some really interesting parallels between these Roman gladiator battles and pro wrestling. Researchers have speculated that not only was death a rarity when it came to these battles, but that these Colosseum spectacles were run very much like a business similar to the professional wrestling business, in that they built particular Roman gladiators into stars and protected them due to their popularity. There's even been speculation regarding some gladiator fights being predetermined and staged, especially if emperors got into the battle scene. Now granted, I can't say in all honesty if these are all facts or not, but if they are in fact true, then the art of predetermined and staged fights has been around for centuries. Yet for some reason, pro wrestling gets constant disrespect for this very thing that may very well have existed long before pro wrestling even came into existence. And as I've shown in this video, a few other legit sports are guilty of doing. But let's ignore all that and live in this bullshit bubble where pro wrestling gets dismissed for doing this, yet these other supposed sports get a pass. I'm sorry, but that is cherry-picking hypocrisy of the lowest degree. And as I've shown with this now decimated short bus rider, it is hypocrisy that I can call out and expose for what it is with the greatest of ease. Short bus rider, I really hope you're watching this. Because if you are, I want to give you one final message. If I ever get the chance to visit Ohio, the place you and I grew up, and I just so happen to run into you at a gathering of mutual friends, I will walk right up to you and call you an idiot. Right to your face. And if that motivates you to want to get physical with me, have at it. Hell, you may even beat the fuck out of me. But rest assured that if you do, I'll get right back up with bloody mouth, nose, or whatever and call you an idiot again. Because kicking my ass will not change that fact. It has been thoroughly and irrefutably proven in this video. You're a joke, short bus rider. I hereby decree that the Facebook short bus rider that is the subject of this video is a moron, an intellectual fraud, a liar, a butthurt little bitch, a coward, and a pathetic fail troll that has been exposed and owned for life. So, that's it. Holy shit, that's it for this extremely long-winded video. Hope those that watched it learned a thing or five. Hopefully the most important thing to take out of this video, Suplex City ain't got shit on Factual Slam City. This is your great exposer, and I have spoken. Y'all have a great day.
You exposed, bitch. You exposed. If you got no
facts,